there, it's Ashley here. Welcome to Createful Art. Today I would like to demonstrate how I paint a waterfall. This is inspired by going to the state Georgia. And look at that beautiful waterfall behind me. I want to teach you how to paint that. And they had beautiful waterfalls that we hiked to. This is part of my 50 States 50 Paintings series. These paintings take me a lot of time. So what I do for these is I show you the basic steps and the techniques that I'm going to use so you can learn from it. And you can paint along if you like. But I always emphasize being creative. Change whatever you wish, have fun with it, and just play while you paint, because that's what makes it really, really fun. So I'm starting out with this 18 by 18 inch canvas. Okay, I'm going to give you the colors and the brushes that I'm using as I go along. I do have a reference photo that I've taken that I will be using for this, and you can become a Createful Art member and get the reference photo to help you paint along. So you'll have my painting as a reference photo and the reference photo that I used. The other thing that I like to do is I like to start out with a fluid medium mixed with my paints or with fluid paints. And it spreads easily. So I'm going to add some of this carbon black. This is a liquid paint. If you have black, that works too. I'm going to start with black because the waterfall needs to stand out. I'm using my wash brush. My brushes are listed in the description below. So I'm just going to take my black and I'm going to add it. Here's my gesso. And I'm going to mix it with my black. Okay, it's going to make it a little bit gray because it's white gesso, it's not clear gesso. But as you can see, look at the coverage now on that. Now, when I'm filling in a large area, I like to use a wider brush. So I'm starting to create the composition here. Comes up on the side and then dips down into the middle. And it goes up on the other side. And I'm going to fill in this area till about the third mark here. I do not add any water to my paint because I don't want my paints to be transparent, and I want this under layer to be strong, not weak. So just want to let you know that. So I'm just filling in this area with the dark color from here to there. Pretty easy. Now I'm going to take this phthalo cyan green and my wide brush, and I'm going to give this right here a green undertone. So I got my brilliant blue right here. Now brilliant blue is going to be lighter than my phthalo cyan. So what I'm going for is kind of a turquoise color. It's very easy to get a turquoise color with a little bit of blue. So let me see if I like the phthalo cyan blue a little bit better. This is a darker blue. Yep, I like the phthalo cyan blue better. Okay, so that's what I'm going to use, and then I'm just going to fill in this area. Okay, it's going to be very, very pretty, and it's going across like this and filling it in. So when the waterfall hits, it's going to just be white through here. I'm going to end up going over it. So I need to bring this line up to that point where there's no coverage. And having the black behind it just kind of darkens it a little bit naturally. So that's good. Okay, it's a really pretty color. And I just take that color down. And then as I get closer here, I'm going to darken it. Just darken it with some blue. You can also add in some of that black color that I used. So if I add in the black, I'll show you that. See, that's the dark black. And it goes up into this nice green color. Okay, and then I just keep going side to side until it's well blended. One thing to note is that I want to leave in some of those streaks. See how there's streaks? You can see lines. I leave those in there. Okay, and then I'm going to take that dark color from the sides and go in. This puts more emphasis on the waterfall, and then on this side as well. So for up here, I'm going to use white with a little bit of yellow in it for a glow. I'm going to be using yellow azo medium. And if you don't have these exact colors, don't worry about it. You just need to either match them with the colors you have, which I have a color mixing video to help you do that. It's right over here, and you can just watch that and learn how to mix colors. And you just make sure you have your primary colors, and you can create any colors with those, and black and white. I like just this subtle yellow glow right here. I'm gonna bring it to that line, come in here, I'm gonna give it edge. I'm going back and forth, making it so the light looks like it's coming from behind, making it more yellow right there, and then creaming it up throughout here. Again, using choppy brush strokes. So I'm just going to use the edge of my brush to get some nice harsh edges along here, because this is stone along here. I don't want it to be perfect. And just fill that in with yellow. So now I have my underlayer done, so now I can go on to the next step, and that's adding more layers on top. So I'm going to focus on this rock area for a little while. I'm going to take my bronze yellow and my titanium white, my palette knife here. Now this is heavy body paint, and I want it to be really thick and sticky, because what I'm going to do is create the texture of rocks. So I'm just mixing this with my white, creamy goldish color. This is what the rocks color was like. So with rocks, there are so many different tones in rocks. So you don't want to just have one, or you're going to make it look like it's a cartoon plastic. So what I like to do is I like to create another color over here, similar but just a little bit different. Take that color and I'm going to add a little bit of this pink in it. This is magenta, and then I'm going to use that yellow that I used up here and create a little bit more of a yellow. So I have bronze yellow as my mother color, and I've mixed some with the yellow, and I've mixed some with this red, and I mixed some with the black, and So I'm going to take this blackish color, and I'm just going to do some pushing and down. And then I'll put that same color on this side. You can also go on the side with your palette knife like this, just to get some rock formations. We'll put in that more yellow color, just in some areas. Now I'm going for the pink color. There's a stronger edge right through here with that. It like gets dark, and then there's some more down here. A lot through here. Color. Layers and layers of this. Now I'm taking my just really small 1/4 of an inch flat brush, and I'm just going to come in here and give some diagonal lines. So this is the technique I'm using. I'm leaving this very dark, because that will be where the waterfall is. One thing to keep in mind when I'm doing this is that even though we have a lot of black, when we started with black, that isn't the main color of these rocks. They are tan. They have a little bit of a rosy color to some of them. And so really what we're doing is this black was the shadow, and we're creating the light hitting the rocks. So anytime you want to add black over it, you certainly can for some more shadowed areas, and it'll create depth. Like for example right here, you could create this being a little bit darker than the rest of the area, and it just creates some more depth. Alright, so while that dries, I'm going to work on this part back here. So I'm going to come in here with my round brush, some water on my round brush, and I'm going to grab this gray. This was made with black, white, and a little bit of the yellow. And I'm going to come in here and make some branches. So when I just barely add pressure, I'll have a little tiny line. When I add a little bit more, it's a thicker line. I'm just being very random with this, or I can lighten the color a little bit if I want to make things look further away. I'm going to use some of that color that I have down here for that, and a little bit of that gray. I'm just going to blob here, just get that shape in. And then I like to take black on the bottom and like that put in some greenery up there. I'm going to have it go all the way to this edge, just letting some of the yellow show through. And get in some different green if you like. So the more I lighten it, the more it's going to look hazy. So I'm going to put in these types of shapes just randomly. I'll look a little bit every once in a while at my reference photo to see if I want to keep something there or not or whatever. I'm going to make like a V shape kind of going this direction to point to my waterfall, but then cover some areas so it's not so noticeable. So like, you know, have some branches and stuff coming out over the V shape so it's not blatantly in your face, but it's there to pull your eye down. So that's what I'm going to do, and then work on this side going up as well. Okay, so I got in the green foliage back here. This is again just the second layer, so we will go on top of things as we see fit. Alright, so now I'm going to come in with my flat brush and I'm going to put in a little bit of the water here. And now I'm going to grab that white with a little bit of yellow because it's going to create harmony. And it has a little bit of the blue on it because I just had blue on my brush right in this area. And then darken my brush a little bit and create some ripples happening here. So there's some other light area. Don't want that. Just coming forward with some of this. I'm going to scrub in a few little lines. See how these little lines are a little bit choppier. And create some curve shapes. Now here's the crazy part, is adding the waterfall over it. So I'm going to grab some of my brilliant blue and my white. I don't usually start with white because there's so much dimension in a waterfall. You want to start with your grays or your darker colors and then go over it with white so that it really brightens it and looks like the sun's hitting it. So first of all, I'm going to take this color and I'm going to create some mist. So I'm going to scrub off too much of my color on my brush, and I'm going to make the mist right through here. Okay, I'm going to water it down just a little bit and then do that same thing because it's a little strong. See how it just barely goes over it? Creates this little mist looking stuff. I'm just copying that texture that I see. And if I need a little bit more on my brush, I will get it. Couple spots where the water is just coming down over here on the side. So I'm just going to follow this on the side now. I'm going like this. So I'm following, I could start up here at the top, have it come. See, I'm following little, you know, direction, like there's these little pockets of a little more water. Does that make sense? Don't know how to explain it. And then a little bit out here. So I want to kind of stay in this general area right here.
Mom, look what I said.
And straight up and down. Now this is the bulk of it right through here. Now it's still hitting rocks and stuff, so you're still going to see some of the black. And this still isn't the top layer. But it's a lot more concentrated right here. Okay, and then it hits this right here. This will end up being thicker. Just go straight up. And then over here it just kind of dissipates off. Okay, so that's just the underlayer of the waterfall. And now this is the point where you look back and you decide what you need to do to add on top. So this is like the shadows, the highlights, the colors, anything like that. The last part is really the key to bringing it all together. So a couple things that I'm going to start doing from the get-go here.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I'm going to add that other layer. Right here, I'm going to start softening the transition between the sky and the waterfall. I'm going to take a little bit of that yellow, some white, and that transition just softens right there. Don't want it to be so stark. Okay, so we got some harsh lines throughout here too. So just kind of come in here and soften that so it's not so harsh from one to the next. Make it hard to see where one begins and the other one ends. So the line will still be there, but won't be so dramatic. I'm going to do the same thing right through here. See how it's a harsh line? Well, this is basically a reflection of this is going to be on here. So I'm going to just kind of combine that. A nice soft dull color. Soften the transition from one to the other. And there's rocks that come in here and kind of do the same thing as over on that side. They make the line less harsh and bring it down. Soften this. Remember how I told you I'd come back in and soften some stuff if it was too much? Do that. Just do that by adding a little bit of paint to my brush. Usually I use gray or something that's dull. Now I'm going to shape my waterfall a little bit more. The thing is with waterfalls, you can always come in here and take away some areas. So another layer in here. It's much more in the middle. remember I said that this was mostly a V through here, so we need to add some more greenery through here. This is just lush through here. This up here, like this, is where the sun's really shiny. Take this greenish color, add a little bit of it. It needs to be a little darker. This will give the water a little more dimension. Just add another color here. So the more colors I add, the more dimension it has. I really love how it's turning out. So a little bit of white along these rocks will make it seem like the water's hitting up against it. I really don't have to do much more. So another thing that I want to fix is adding a little bit black in this area. See how this is very just smeared down, and I kind of like it, you know, as far as looks kind of like waterfalls coming down in some other areas, which it does. So I might keep some of it and just make it look a little more like that. So for example, there's a little bit of water coming down here, you know. I can keep that. If I find that it's distracting, then I'll just take it away. But we don't want too much of this. It's not a good thing. So I'm going to dole it out. You have to get it to a point that you really, really love it. You just keep looking back, make changes until you feel like it's finished. If you don't like something, just go over it. That's what's great about acrylics. And keep being creative. I hope this lesson helped you. I hope you learned a lot from it. And if you want to get more weekly art lessons, go ahead and click right over here. They're going to help you become a better artist. We're going to cover things like color theory, composition, and all those things that you need to know to become better at painting. When you understand the elements and principles of art, they help you to create the art that you want to create. And you also get the reference photos and to vote for what tutorials you want to see next. The VIP members are learning all about brush strokes. I'm teaching how to create certain textures like fur and water and clouds and all those things. I'm showing what brush I use and how I use that brush. So if you want to become a VIP member, go ahead and do that. You also, when you become a VIP member, get my acrylic painting book. This is a guide that's going to teach you everything you need to know about acrylics in sequential order. So if you want to get that book, go ahead and join the VIP membership. I have lots of the 50 State 50 Painting Series videos. You can watch them over here or watch this other video right over here. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!